What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Phightins final. That's right. And it's a final score of 8-3 in favor of your Philadelphia Phillies. It's so funny to get excited over one win against the Cincinnati Reds, but I'm going to get excited, and you're going to get excited along with me. I said last night after my show, just win a goddamn game. Just win a game. Win a game. I don't care how you have to do it, but I know how they did it. They strung some hits together. That's what we needed. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't pretty, but it was done, and it was done well. And I think they had a little angel on their shoulder for this win because you guys might have noticed that the Phightins final's been lacking a little bit, missing a little pizzazz. All right. And I said last night that I wasn't going to do something until they won, and we had a little bit of a good luck charm. Somebody was a little back earlier than expected. But Matty B is in the house. What is going on, brother?
Al, how you doing? Welcome back. Welcome back to me.
Welcome back to you. Hey, you want to pat yourself on the back while you're at it?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that intro, man. That's awesome. Yes, Pizzazz is my middle name.
Yeah, that's right. I had a feeling. I feel like you have like a jean jacket with it bedazzled on the back. It says Pizzazz. I don't know why. I just figured that.
You got a window into my soul right now.
Yeah, I do. I do. But we're all happy. It's Friday, so the weekend starts. That's cool. We're all happy about that. And we got a well-needed W, because we haven't had one since you went on vacation.
Yeah.
And that is why you're back and they win, so they missed you. The Philadelphia Phillies missed Matty B. That's what happened. Let's just throw it out there. You don't have to believe it to be true, but it is true.
Yeah, and I missed the Philadelphia Phillies, too, as I was taking my little hiatus down there in South Carolina. And I was able to actually catch some baseball while I was down there. The Charleston was it River Dogs?
Yeah.
The low A affiliate of the Tampa Bay Rays battled the Columbia Fireflies, which was the low A Kansas City Royals team. So
okay,
yeah, it was really good stuff. So
well, it's better than what you were probably watching up here in Tampa Bay, man. Did they play today?
They did.
All right, we're going to get into that in a second because they were at a win streak on the line. They were at 14 as of yesterday, but we'll talk about that later because we're here talking about the Phillies. An 8-3 victory in Cincinnati, Ohio at the Great American Ballpark. Let's kind of go through the scoring here. It started off with a double on the top of the first by Kyle Schwarber, and Trey Turner scores, making it 1-0 Phillies. That was it for the first. Into the second, Edmundo Sosa homers. Big bat again from Edmundo. Solo shot, making it 2-0 Phillies. They kept adding on. They just kept going to the next inning. Top of the third, Nick Castellanos doubles again. That's 9 on the year for Nick, by the way. I want to point that out. 9 doubles. Not hitting his home run yet, but as far as I'm concerned, Matty, and tell me if you agree with me or not, I don't care. The man never hits a home run. Over 300 and you give me extra base hits, I could care less.
No, and I stressed this from the very beginning of the season that Nick Castellanos really was the key to all of this, as far as I was concerned, especially until Bryce Harper got back. As long as he's moving people along the pillows and getting himself on the base, I don't really care exactly if he's not hitting home runs or not. I'll take this Nick Castellanos over the one that we dealt with last year any day of the week. So it's been very good to see him, especially battle out of that 3 for 13 slump he was in kind of last week, and then kind of really just kind of battling his way right out of that. He is definitely finally, maybe I shouldn't say this out loud, but he's definitely returning some of that investment right now.
Yeah, well, and he's doing it at a time that's well needed.
Yeah.
We have some Phillies news to talk about too. I know it's not related to the game, but I have to get your opinions on it since you were out of town when it happened. But in the third, it continued with a triple from Brandon Marsh, who scores Nicky Bats and making it 4-0. Then JT Realmuto, who had an active night tonight, which we'll get into a little bit, a well-needed active night. He has a sac fly and scores Brandon, making it 5-0 Phillies. Brings us to the bottom of the third. Cincinnati finally gets on the board. Jake Fraley singles to the ground ball. And Jose Barrero scores for Cincinnati, making it 5-1. They tack on another one with Jonathan India when he singles. And Spencer Steer scores, making it 5-2. Top of the ninth, Phillies say, we need some insurance runs. JT Realmuto again. I believe it was with 2 outs. He doubles and scores Trey Turner, and they send Kyle Schwarber banking in 2 more. I mean, I'm sorry, one more. That was just Kyle Schwarber went to third. The next one was Alec Boehm singles with 2 outs. Schwarber and JT both score, making it 8-2. Cincinnati gets a sac fly in the bottom of the ninth, making it 8-3, but that's all they'll get, and that'll give you your final score of 8-3 for your Phightins. Matty B, tell me what made you happy about this game. Tell me what maybe didn't.
Well, so there's a couple of things that have made me happy, and you mentioned it. We talked about Nick Castellanos. Obviously, seeing him hit and JT hit as well. They're really important people in this lineup every day, regardless if Bryce Harper is there or not, but especially these days. And seeing them be such active at the plate as they were tonight, very positive signs. Ty Walker, we needed this. This was overdue. This type of start from a pitcher. And what did he go 7? That it was he wasn't dominating, but he's what he was brought here to do, and that's eat innings and keep the Phillies in a game. So definitely that was encouraging. What's not encouraging, Al, to me is again the same things that plagued this team in 2022. It's that lack of situational hitting. It seems to have not corrected itself heading into the early part of this year. What were they tonight? 3 for 13 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, I mean, I think at one point they announced on the program that they were like 3 for 21 on the series or in the last 3 games or whatever it was.
Well, actually, in the last 4 games, they're 7 for 44 with runners in scoring position. And on the season, there's some. Where is I have it right here? No, on the season, Al, they are a gaudy 32 for 132.
No.
Runners in scoring.
I mean, I heard something when you were away that they were, they were like top 3 team batting average, but like ranked 21 with runs batted in. So I mean, it's very bizarre. Lopsided.
But that was again, that's discouraging. And the bullpen continues to struggle. Sir Anthony just doesn't seem right. And I don't know. He seemed right last year after coming back from that injury. After gone for 2 years, he was pitching well. Mm-hmm. Something happened to him. I don't know what's up. Maybe it's confidence.
I think
nibbling it's just, too much.
I'm not like worried about him as much. Like I look at what's his name? Who just pitched tonight? Why am I Alvarado? He had to go back down to the minors to get himself right. And when he came back up, he was great. Maybe that's what happens with Sir Anthony. Hopefully that's not the case. I mean, he had a great postseason last year. We're all ready to bless him as our closer. These guys, I feel like some of these guys are still in spring training mode. I kind of questioned a little bit last night how the spring training was. Was there maybe not the best? They were not solely prepared. Maybe Phillies were worried about going so deep into the season compared to the other teams. Right. There'll be more rust on this team, and these guys haven't gotten ready yet. And the pitch timer, I think, is playing a factor in a lot of these guys.
Absolutely. And to go off of your point about spring training, I heard somebody else talking about this the other day. The WBC and the effect that might have played on the Phillies. I get that when you take players, especially the players you took. And don't forget, the Phillies lost 18 players from the organization to go to represent their countries.
And they weren't playing well. I mean, they weren't playing as much. Like they were not getting their everyday play like they should have. It wasn't like they were playing series like they are now, one day after the other. They were having days off. They were having a good time. And let's be honest, they're like Trey. He was putting on a show, but against guys who weren't that good. No, they weren't Major League Baseball. Not all of them. Not all of them, but some of them would never even pitch in the majors, and if they did, they would barely pitch.
No, I agree with you, but but there's also an accountability on these professional athletes. They got to be ready to play. Mm-hmm. They're being paid the money. I know Dave Dombrowski's not saying, "Well, I'm not ready to pay you your $8.3 million this week," but
no, you're right. But you also know how baseball is. Creatures of habit. Walter wants to know both catchers played in WBC, correct? And correct. Yes, they did. Yep.
Stubbs played for Team Israel, and JT, of course, for Team USA.
But so. I think it all plays a factor. The guys just weren't in sync. And taking some of the positives tonight, Kyle, let's look at some of the box scores here. Number 1, Stott, leadoff position again. His hit streak stays alive. He's at 14. He's 2 away from Puddinhead Jones tying and 3 away from taking the lead. Trey Turner was 2 for 5. That was good to see. Schwarber was 2 for 3. With 2 walks. He had a heck of a night. And then Nicky Batts he had a double, a walk, a RBI, a run, and he was 2 for 4. Brandon Marsh was 1 for 5. Real Muto, he was 2 for 4. So that, and he scored a run. So there was a lot of positive. I mean, if you look at it, this one game tonight made like a 20-point differential in his ERA.
Yeah.
He was barely over 200, and he's at 229 now. Alec Boehm was 1 for 3.
Why is Alec Boehm batting so low in this lineup?
You know what? Another thing I brought up last night. There's like two. All right, guy doing good, two guys struggling, guy doing good, another guy struggling. It's like, I don't know. I think if he spreads it out, they'll get more. But I would be like bunch them together, string some hits, and I'd rather have them struggle at 3, the 7, 8, 9.
I want to see Boehm bat in second. I want to see him bat in second.
I said flip him with JT if he was struggling so much.
Yeah.
Joey Wood over here. Can we get Rob to stop playing the matchups with Marsh? He has shown he needs little to play full time. I agree with you, Joe. I mean, at this point, with the batting average that he's sporting, you have to imagine you have to give him a chance. And here, how does a man ever get over the fact that he doesn't do well against certain-handed pitchers? And if you're not going to let it happen, I mean, he's batting at 361, Matty B. Please explain this to me and, of course, Joey Wood.
Yeah, I don't know, because in the analytics-driven world of baseball, it's almost it's I don't know, it's counterproductive. The Phillies as a team have struck out over they've struck out 137 times as a team this year, and we're concerned about matchups lefty and righty. I don't really get that. I don't know where that marries itself anymore. I thought with analytics, it's all about the damn window now, and it's whether or not the guy's wearing left socks on his right foot and all that. So
yeah,
I don't know, Joe, and I wish I knew. But you're right; he needs to play every day, and
until he does struggle, and then you give him a break. I just don't get it. They're expecting obviously they've been worried about his spot. They kept bringing guys in. They made trades in the offseason. Cody Clement, for instance, Jake Cave. I mean, listen, these guys are playing because of injuries a lot. Cody Clement and Jake Cave probably wouldn't be up here right now if we had Reese and we had Harper. So I mean that does play a factor a little bit into it, but
yeah.
I agree. And Walter spoiled it. I was holding up it. Finally, the Rays lose. I mean, come on, all things have to good come in. And like I said earlier, I'm not trying to bash what they did. It's amazing. If our Phillies came out 14-1, 14-0, or now 14-1, we'd be giddy right now. I'd have to duct tape Matty B to his seat from jumping around in the living room there.
Al, let me counter that, because I think I'm going to surprise you on this.
Okay.
A lot of talk lately, also again, from my perch down south, I heard it, was the struggles of this team coming out of the gate, 4-9, 5-9 now. And I sat back and kind of chuckled to myself, because Al, this was exactly, matter of fact, through 14 games in 2022, the Phillies were 6-8. They're one game worse than they were last year, and they were losing games in the same way at the beginning of last season that they were now. So I don't understand. And listen, I'm not advocating the slow start, but
yeah,
it's the same thing that this team kind of got off to last season, and obviously what happened last year and all that. But you're right, though, 14-0. Oh, I mean, we'd be already lined up on Broad Street right now.
Yeah, I'd be picking out our spot.
So, yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, again, higher expectations this year. There was no expectations last year.
No,
that's your big difference. But it's also the stupid mistakes, the base running mistakes, the defensive mistakes, just things like that, the non-excusable mistakes, I guess is the best way of putting it, which makes the losses a little harder. And I mean, go back to the Easter game. I mean, there was a game they should have won, but stupid mistakes have you. So there you go. You're now 6-8. Okay, you're exactly where you were last year.
Exactly.
You're 2 games under 500, a little bit more respectable. And the other thing that's different this year too is let's talk about the standings. Is that our division isn't being ran away with right now.
Right, and that's key. But you mentioned the Easter thing. I was actually watching that game while driving, and man, that was they run themselves out of 3 runs, and then the bullpen comes in and just chokes up the game at the end. And they
Yep.
dominated that game from the beginning, and that was a gut punching loss for us. That was like blowing the 7-0 lead in the 9th inning to the Mets type loss. I mean, not quite like that, but on the same realm of that. That was a horrible loss. Horrible.
Yeah, and it's those kind of things that make it worse. Okay, here's a team that struggled out of the gates. They finally win the series. They have a chance to sweep it.
Yep.
The brooms are out. The brooms are ready to go, and then you just totally S the bed. Like, and that's where the problem comes in. That's why these struggles are difficult. It's not if this team was just coming out maybe cold bats. You know what I mean? And let's be honest, part of it is cold bats, but hopefully this game tonight is the kind of game that gets JT, out of spring training mode and into regular mode. I mean, I have to give Kyle Schwarber a little credit. I mean, I know it's like, oh, you're going to give a guy a round of applause because, his batting average isn't as low as it usually is this time of year, but he's been a little bit more consistent than he was last year. I mean, he was ice cold.
Yeah.
I mean, he's batting at 222. I don't even know if he was at 200 this time last year.
No, it was like 178.
Exactly. So, I mean, he still have the pop. I mean, you saw last night, even though in the loss, he destroyed that ball. That ball, I'm going to tell you right now, that ball it was hurt bad. It hurt so bad, he called David Archeri. That's why that ball made a call. He's going to have some criminal law to go against Kyle Schwarber, 440 some odd feet. But if you get hurt at work, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, criminal law, the man you call is David Archeri at 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. That number again, 610-565-0300, cherryinjurylaw.com.
The king of segues. Big
you know what? That's what Freddie said to me the other night. He goes, you got it down. I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. I guess I've been doing it for almost a decade. I better have it down.
It's good, man.
But let's talk about the pitching because that's you start about it, then we kind of get off the beaten path a little bit. So let's look at it. Well, we're excited. We had a pitcher go 6 innings. Yay! Yes. 4 hits, 1 run, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. A very good Walker. Walker has had better pitching outings in his life. Don't get me wrong, but a very solid. What we need to see.
Yep.
It would be nice to see him go 7, but I'll take what I can get. Sir Anthony, like you said, struggles. 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 earned run, 1 walk, a strikeout with a 12.71 ERA. Alvarado continues to dominate. 3 strikeouts. That's right. 1 hit, but 3 strikeouts. He with a 1.42 ERA, and Brogdon came in, made things, I don't want to say dicey, but, he extended the game longer than it needed to go. 1 inning, 1 run, 1 walk, with a 3.68 ERA to give your Phillies a total win of 8-3. Do you think that we'll start to see this incremental improvement from these pitchers because they're getting used to the pitch clock, the pace of the game?
Listen, you can't. As much as we like to dog on Aaron Nola, he's going to get better. I mean, that's just his MO. He will calm down. He will be more serviceable. This is not Zach Wheeler. We know Zach Wheeler is going to be better. If we can get a Ty Walker like this every 5th day, I'll take it at that number 3. What it's going to come down to is what's going on in that 4 and 5 hole. Matt Strom and Bailey Falter, are they the? I know there's some news about Ranger kind of getting back. He's having bullpen sessions where he's playing.
I think he bit. They said like a few days ago he pitched 35. Pitches. He was good that day. They were waiting to watch the next day to see how he felt.
Right.
And then they were going to do like a simulated 70 or something like that.
And Painter's back to throwing. He's playing catch right now, so that's good to see him start to throw again. It's really going to come down to that 4 and 5 to me. And that's why I was concerned that they didn't go out and sign anybody veteran-wise in that 4 and 5 hole. I know what the plan was, but I didn't think that was the right plan because it opened us up for something that did happen. And also, it takes – I'd rather see Falter and Strom pitching out of that bullpen. I think that's where we're going to need them.
Well, I think Strom will be back. Once he's going to be the odd man out. But if you get, Painter and Suarez back and they are good, serviceable. They can go their 6 or 7 innings. This is going to be a blip on the radar this season
Yeah,
of what we were dealing with. And again, it's kind of like when Harper went down. What do we say? Keep your head above water. Like
and
right
that's
now,
all
they're
it is.
keeping their head above water, even with the struggles. I worry about the bullpen down the line if they have to keep using. I mean, um, Dominguez is a guy to keep my eye on. Hopefully he can get himself right. But Alvarado, I worry about the long haul if he gets worn out too fast because they are really leaning on him to kind of bolster that bullpen. Because even Kimbrel coming in,
He's
not
that's
does
not
not make
good.
me feel good. Yeah.
No, that's not good right now. Kimbrough is pitching
And he
like
was the one
he's
I was
3
worried
years
about the
past.
most with the clock too. By the way, with his little
Yeah,
arm thing, like I was afraid that was going like he would have to change his whole repertoire up if to say
yeah, he's not right. There's something not right there, and I don't know if it's his age or maybe it's the pitch timer, or maybe it's a combination. But he is definitely trying to find himself out there in that bullpen. And you're right, we're going to need that. We're going to need that here come July, August, and all that. So yeah, there's I get it. The injuries, every team deals with them. The Phillies are dealing with them as well. Again, I heard someone also entertain, is this one of those seasons that we're going to chalk up to that injuries and we'll just move on to 2024? I'm not going to throw the season away 2 weeks in.
no.
You ain't doing that. But, I don't know. There's something to that maybe to a point, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, we're going to talk about injuries in a second, but the good end of injuries, hopefully, because. But real quick before we jump into it, I want to mention if these guys are going to be coming back, and they're going to be back, and you're going to want to get down to the game. And I'm going to go to sherrystickets.com to get those tickets to those hard to get games because they're already tight to get, and when they start announcing certain guys coming back that they're going to sell out even faster. So when you get that hard to get ticket, or you want to get the really good seats that are already sold out, I go to sherrystickets.com. No hidden prices. Pay what you see on the screen. Great price. But for an additional 10% off, all you have to type in is 5 digits or 5 characters, EOP10 or EOP10, whatever, EOP10 at sherrystickets.com. So use you 10% off. Sports, concerts, theater tickets, they got you covered. EOP10 promo code 10% off. sherrystickets.com. But let's talk real quick. I just want to your pitching lineup for the Cincinnati Reds. Overton got the start tonight, and they got on him quick and fast. He got only about 3 innings deep, 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, and let up a homer, of course. And then it was Herget with 2.2 innings, 2 hits, and 1 strikeout. So he was very serviceable. He was able to keep the guys kind of on lockdown for a little bit. San Martin came in, same thing, 1.2 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, serviceable again. Looked like we were all the offense we saw for the rest of the game. Cruz comes in, and the Phillies were able to add on a couple additional runs with with 4 hits, 3 earned runs, and 4 strikeouts on top of it, giving you the total score of 8-3 for your Fightin' Phillies. So you're away, right? And news dropped that a certain Mr. Bryce Harper went to ownership. Said, "Listen, teach me first base." And we're all sitting there going, "Wait a minute, it's kind of a smart idea. You don't have to wrench your arm out in right field to assist. You really are not throwing very often unless you're trying to make a 3-4 double play or 3-6 double play or something like that, or 6-3 double play. So you're not throwing across the diamond as much. What are your thoughts on Bryce Harper possibly joining the lineup again soon? And they were working on sliding with him today, by the way, which is probably one of the biggest issues that you have to worry about with this type of injury.
Yeah, no, I heard that. I saw that. I saw both the fact that they were working on sliding with him and, of course, the first base stuff. Listen, it's a testament to Bryce Harper and his character. He wants to do anything he possibly can to get this team back on track and help them, obviously, in a position that they're very thin on. I'm okay with it. I don't necessarily. I mean, is it? Let me ask you this: is it? Why would we want him at first? Is it for defensive ability? I mean, if he's a DH, he's in the lineup. And then we can put whoever we got, next man up at first. I get what he's saying, but Is it going to hurry his way back into the lineup if he's a first baseman versus a DH? I
think what it does is allows you to keep certain guys in play.
Yeah.
Because if not, you still have to play a Cody Clement
Right.
or at first, and that gives him his spot. Now you don't have to play Cody, and you can sometimes give still Schwarber or Nick or somebody else or Bohm a day off.
Right.
I don't think he'd be every day first baseman. He could still play DH, but that gives you a lot more flexibility that you don't have if he's the consistent DH every day.
Or what we could do is call Logan O'Hoppe up and then put JT at first. Oh wait, never mind. Sorry, scrap that plan.
Yeah, I actually read an article on him the other day. I'm like, oh god, I'm never gonna hear the end of this.
4 home runs.
Matt's already polishing his bust at the Hall of Fame right now.
I'm telling you, this trade's gonna come back.
I'm not saying it can't happen, but at the time it made sense.
But no, you're right. I think that obviously, again, testament to Bryce Harper's character that he wants to come in and help this team out any way he possibly can. I'm okay with it. You're right. It does limit that throw. He's not going to throw much from first. He can catch. So, yeah, why not? They taught Hatterberg how to do it in Moneyball, so let's teach Bryce Harper to do it.
I remember Ruben Amaro saying they thought about trying to get Ryan Howard at left field.
Yeah.
Because Tomey was still here. So...
Absolutely. I remember that. I remember when they were doing that, and then obviously they ended up trading Tomey. We got Aaron Rowan for him, didn't we? Didn't we get Aaron Rowan for Tomey when we traded him to the White Sox?
He might have been part of the package.
That was part of the deal. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, remember when Rowan face became part of the fence before they padded it up?
Never forget it as long as I live. Saw it live. It was
I was there too.
Yeah. But no, I would be definitely all for it. So let me ask you this, though, Al. Is the patchwork of, say, Bryce Harper, Alec Bohm, Cody Clement, and Derek Hall when he comes back, is that the platoon at first base, or does Dave Dombrowski have to go out and actually find a first baseman?
It depends on the timeline, I think. It depends on what the timeline would be with that situation. Does Bryce Harper play the entire year there at first base and never goes back to right field? Because part of me wonders if they ever think he would play right field again this season. Not ever again.
I don't think he was going to.
And I think this was the best case scenario. Scott, what's going on, bud? But gentlemen, I don't know. They might have left. I'll let you know if they return. But it's just me and Matt here tonight. So sorry.
Yeah,
no
just
gentlemen.
me now. Yeah.
But what's going on, Scott? It's good to see you.
I mean, is it something that we have? I mean, obviously we have a need there. We possibly have a need at starting pitching. I know there's plenty of time before now in the trade deadline, or plenty of time before any of that might happen. There's still a couple of free agents out there at first base that have not been signed yet. I don't know, but this situation could be. That's why that's why Dombrowski gets paid the big money, because he can make those types of moves. But is this something you think the Phillies may have to address for continuity, chemistry, and a run at the end of the season, and have somebody permanent at first base that we don't have to constantly be moving in and out of the lineup, moving around the lineup, and all that?
Well, I think part of the beginning of the season was going to be experiment. Can Derek Hall be an everyday first baseman?
And I thought he was going. I still think he can be.
Yeah, I'm not saying he can, and I think that's why you won't see them run out and grab a first baseman, especially if Rhys Hoskins can be serviceable there. Bryce Harper. If he can be serviceable there, then you don't need to run out per se right away, and maybe wait to the if he can get him back soon, and then you have to the All-Star, or to the trade deadline to find out what you have with Derek Hall. And
I think he was. It's a shame that I really liked what he was doing before he got hurt. I really did. He was on his way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's what we're saying. I mean, they're trying. I mean, they can't go out and keep signing guys to 10 years. $350 million deals. But that's. They got to figure something out, and that's why they liked Rhys Hoskins. They had a lot of pop with him. They know the devil they know, and he was. You could afford him. It was affordable.
With all this uncertainty at first base, I still don't miss Hoskins. I don't miss him. I know that's the wrong thing to say, but I don't miss him. I think we're still better off without him. I really do.
Rhys?
Yeah, I don't miss him, and I think we're better off. I do.
Listen, I think because of what it has cost us to not have him because we were expecting to have him. If we traded him away and God forbid he got hurt and we're like, thank God we traded him when we did, it wouldn't. We'd be like, we'd just be like, we think we're geniuses.
But even with all that, I still don't miss him. I honestly don't. I think this guy. I don't know where the love affair for Rhys Hoskins is in this town.
Well, it's a little bit of the swooning from last postseason. He towards the end he came back and people loved him, and nobody wants to see the guy get hurt. You know what I mean?
And the way the entire postseason that mattered. It was one.
Listen, I agree with you. That's why I said in the offseason, move on.
Yes.
I mean, they weren't going to be able to afford a Freddie Freeman, but I would have loved to see the Freddie. God, he's one of those guys I hate from afar, but would love to see him in pinstripes.
Oh, yeah.
But I was hoping for a Freddie Freeman type guy, but I know they can't afford to do that. They're going to start putting themselves in these holes. You got 2 5-year contracts in Schwarber and Castellanos. You got Harper's contract, now Trey Turner's contract, JT's contract. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying they don't. I'm definitely not saying they don't get it, and I do think they should if they can. But you need the production. You need a guy who can play defensively well. Doesn't have to be a Gold Glover first baseman, but can give us a decent pop in the bat, like kind of what Sosa's giving us right now, or Bohms gives us. If we can get something like that. And I think they're trying to get it from a young guy. It's not costing them a lot. They need to keep the wallets open because you think about it. They got to make a decision about Nola by the end of the season. So we'll see what happens with him. They got to, Wheeler's getting along, getting at the end of his. He's got one more year after this year, right?
It was a 4-year deal. Yeah.
So you gotta figure out what's going to go there. I mean, you still got a lot of moves to make. I mean, it's not just the now; it's the future too. So
it is, and you're right. But I do like, as I said, I think that, and that's why players like Brandon Marsh and Derek Hall and Bryson Stott are so invaluable for this team because they're under team control for 5-6 years, and they come at the cheap, and that's good to see that.
And the fact that Stott moved himself up into that leadoff spot.
Yeah.
It's like I just want to see them change some spots in the lineup. Like tonight's lineup, like right now in my eyes, should have been Stott, Turner. I would either put Schwartz or Castellanos up to third, or I would have flipped into Marsh, Bohm, and then either Romuto, Castellanos, or flip flop those two. Like I would have stopped trying to force the round, square pegs around holes for the guys who are struggling.
Yeah.
Scott's saying if Harper plays first base, he'll have to dive and stretch out to dig big baseballs out of the ground. I agree with you, but if the doctors don't think he's ready, they're going to say no, that's not happening. Yeah. So if they're letting him do it, they're letting him do it. They're not going to sit there and let him do it and say, well, let's see if you tear it. You know what I mean? They're just seeing if you can handle the pain at this point.
Now, does that muscle get worked if you stretch out? I know it gets worked when you throw, but is it the same group of muscles to
stretch a ligament.
Your arm out?
It's a ligament. Right. So when you stretch it, and that's what happens, you overstretch it, and then it starts impinging.
And it has nothing to do with the over motion at all. It's just stretch.
It's actually more with a throw than it is with. That's why he could swing still,
right?
Because he's not. Think about it, like when you swing and it's more compact. You're not swinging like this, but when you're throwing, you're snapping hard.
Yep.
And you're stretching it out. So that's the difference. So that's why first base, if he's going to play, is smart. Think about it. It's actually a very well thought out plan. Not just Bryce Harper going, "Hey, I'm trying to help my team." It's actually a very well thought out plan. I mean, think of any other position on the field where you're throwing the ball any less.
Okay, no,
you can't. There isn't. I remember he played catcher before he came up to the pros.
Yep.
Harper knows.
Yep.
Harper knows what to do. So I think it's actually very ingenious that him and Brodsky or whoever together or separately came up with the idea, because if they think he can play, then let him play, because we know he can hit. Has never affected his hitting.
Yep.
So let's see what happens. He wants to know what's Cody Clement's role. It will be in the minor leagues if that happens. I mean, no offense, I would love to see Cody Clements work out, but he's utility. He's a utility guy. Maybe they back up Marsh in center field. I don't know. I don't know. Or they give a day off to, they can use him as another shift around for giving Harper a day off at first base. But other than that, I don't see much.
Yeah, I think it's really Cave and Clemens are going to be the odd man out, fighting for the not to be the odd man out all season long. So, unfortunately, but yeah, and that's another thing that bothers me about this team is their bench. They didn't really address it, in my opinion, adequately enough. And there's really nothing off that bench except for a bunch of utility players and role players. There's no power right now coming off that bench, but obviously it has to do with the injuries. But that's another area of concern for me is the Phillies bench. But yeah, unfortunately, Clemens' role in all this is just that.
And one area of concern you won't have is if you go to phillysportstrips.com, you'll have a bad time because it will not happen.
You'll travel like the pros.
You'll travel like the pros. Look at this. This is it. I have the baseball one coming out. I'll have it ready this weekend. Things are selling out, guys. It's not just, it passed. They sell out. The London Leeds one in May is sold out. They sold out the one across the pond for the Union. They have the Colorado trip coming up for both the Union and the Phillies. You could do both if you wanted to. You could really double down on your Philadelphia sports in Colorado. They got Wrigley Field coming up. They got the Pittsburgh series coming up. They have, I believe, one on the West Coast as well. I'll have all that information. I'm sure they're going to have more bus trips, too. Bus trips are great, man. They're so affordable. They're so affordable. So it's cheaper than going down to the regular games.
There's a City Field trip coming up, right?
That's for the Union. That's sometime May 23rd, 20, somewhere late May. Late May, I know that. That is a bus trip to the City Field. Now, they could be having one up to City Field, too. I don't have that information in front of you, but keep looking at phillysportstrips.com and book your trip today and tell me OP sent you. And real quick, guys, the draft week is coming up. Less than 2 weeks away now to draft the draft night, but draft week we do here at EOP. And we're already draft. Everything's draft. We've put out more videos already than most people have. It will do in the entire season of the draft. Their articles are out today as well. You'll see some new articles on some guys maybe you didn't even think of, outside of just Bijan or Jalen Carter, these, guys you hear all the time. We have massive coverage of the draft, live coverage of the draft the week of, and a whole schedule lined up just for the draft. Plus, of course, we'll be mixing in some Sixers playoff. I'm sure we'll talk about that just a little bit. But we're back to the Phightins final. We're talking about your Phillies. If you're just joining us, Phillies won tonight 8-3. The question is, Matty B, can they keep this going?
Yeah, I think they can keep it going for the rest of this series at the most part. I think it's pivotal that we leave Cincinnati 7-9 before heading up to the north side of Chicago to battle those pesky White Sox. Who have the Phillies ever even played the White Sox in the history of their
Not
franchise?
That I can remember, man. That is a good question. Like, when was the last time the Phillies played the White Sox?
It's been a hot second. It might have been when the White Sox were still wearing shorts. I don't know, but we're gonna. I think it's pivotal that we do that heading out there. The schedule is not going to get easier. It's May's coming, and the Phillies obviously don't do well traditionally in May, so we got to get back to 500, and we got to kind of go from there because the Mets and Braves are looming at the back end of May.
So let's look around the league right now. We always like to jump at this part and talk about the games going on in Major League Baseball. Right now in extra innings, the Giants and Tigers are, speaking out there, Detroit Tigers, 4-4, top of the 11th. Of course, the Phillies won 8-3 against Cincinnati. The Diamondbacks lost to the Marlins 5-1. The Yankees lost to the Twins again. This is 2 days in a row, 4-3. The Guardians beat the Nationals 4-3. The Blue Jays finally give the Rays the L that they were looking for. They needed, that we needed for them to have, get them off there, knock them down a peg, 6-3. Red Sox beat the Angels 5-3. Orioles beat the White Sox 6-3. Rangers are at the bottom of the 7th, 5-2 over the Astros right now. The Braves are at are 10-3 over the Royals right now at the bottom of the 8th. The Pirates are losing 1-0 to the Cardinals at the bottom of the 8th. The Mets are up 6-0 on the Athletics in the top of the 2nd. And the Brewers are 5-0 over the Padres right now, mid-2nd. and it's 0-0 in LA with the Cubs and Dodgers, and it is 1-0 with the Rockies and Mariners in the mid first. So there's plenty of baseball going on around the league if you want to catch something that's not red and white pinstripe. Can't wait for the draft. Yes, sir. I'll be at my favorite sports bar in South Jersey. That's right, Scott. Tell them to put on EOP on the YouTube channel because we will give you the best live coverage you can get, better than the other guys. We'll call them. But thank you for joining in, Scott, as always.
Scott, what do you do? Hang on, Scott. What do you do over at Hollydale? Because I'm a ref and I've done many games over there. What do you? What's your role there?
Oh, wait, I didn't even read this. Fellas, always.
Yeah, he works over at Hollydale. It's a nice little arena over there.
Okay, in Sewell.
Yeah,
Sewell, New Jersey.
I've done many games there.
Okay. But that is going to be about the end of it. But I do have an announcement. I will have more information. I did announce it, teased it, tickled it a little bit for you guys last night. I don't know if you were listening, Matty B. You've heard about it. I don't know if you've witnessed it, but I'm sure this year you will, because we're going to be part of it. Our boy PJ over at Dolan's, we always talk about 24 East Sellers Avenue, Quizzo, music, great times, memorabilia. But there's always a yearly event that has been going on for the last 4 or 5 years that is just amazing. And I've told you about it. You've seen pictures of it, but you've never partaken in Wiffle Ball Madness, have you?
No, I have not.
Well, it has been announced. It is May 13th. So mark your calendars, everybody. I will have a graphic for you with information. The Philly sports guy will be there. I already talked to Jamie. We'll probably have him on to talk to us. Maybe join us for a Phightins final one night. But there is going to be players there. Maybe former coaches. Just saying. For certain baseball teams. So let that stew for a second. I know a few players have been locked in. I'm going to make the announcement once I know I can 100% officially. But Wiffle Ball Madness, to explain it to you guys, is very simple. You get to go to Dolan's, hang out with former Phillies, and play wiffle ball with them. And it don't cost you anything. It's the beauty of it. The only thing that costs you is the home run derby because you can win prizes and it goes to a charity. It all will be for charity because that's what PJ does. It gives back to the community. But there's going to be players, former Philadelphia sports players, not just Phillies, but players possibly representing all the 4 major teams in Philadelphia.
Really?
Let that settle in.
Yeah, you're going to tell me off camera who it is.
Yeah. He's sitting going, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get the information. There is some guys that are locked up. I'm working the graphics up, and I'm waiting to hear that the ones that are 100%, but I got ones that are about 99%, and the other guys we're waiting to hear back from.
Let me ask you this: championship winning players, any of them?
Couple guys have won certain types of championships.
Here,
a coach has won a championship.
Here.
Okay.
Okay.
Mike Laro's already there. Looks like Walter's saying Matty B's Philadelphia Stars open tomorrow. That's absolutely correct.
Against the Showboats, I'll be watching.
Mike, you can get in the home run contest. Got to be there and just sign up for it. Last year we had Jordan Mailata. They're doing some contest for the Eagles autism. Swoop was in the house. Swoop took some swings. I remember Brandon Brooks was there, hanging out for a little bit, former Eagles O-lineman, and NBC Sports, Philly Sports. He's there. But there's a lot, and I believe there's some news. News will be there too. I believe CBS 3 is who I'm hearing. That's one thing I'm pretty sure that they said is happening. But yes, there is a lot going on. We have a brand new team. The owner bought the Philadelphia Rebels there in the NAHL League.
Okay. It's a nice facility. It really is.
He does janitorial work in Hollydale. Yeah.
Okay.
And the Stars, baby. That's right, Mike. So, guys, I know it's a Friday night, so we do really appreciate when everybody joins us on a Friday night because I know after this game, I wouldn't be surprised, or after the show, I wouldn't be surprised if my eyelids get super heavy and I get caught up because I'll get up early tomorrow. Got a lot of stuff to put, a lot of articles, a lot of stuff coming out, guys. A lot of new things. Actually, we even are starting to delve into local professional wrestling. We have a guy, Joey, who's writing some local professional wrestling stuff to see if there's a flavor for that. So if you're into pro wrestling, both the big names like the AEW, the WWEs, but even local stuff, UOP might be the place to go. We're checking it out. We'll get back to you on all that. So a lot of new things coming on. We'll be announcing a lot of those things after the draft, because right now key factor is the draft and, of course, your Sixers playoff run, which actually starts tomorrow, guys. So if you're paying attention to EOP, that is, check it out. We will have all the updates that you need. But other than that, I want to thank our awesome sponsors, of course, at Dolan's Bar, 24 East Sellers Avenue. PJ, tell them that EOP sent you, and we will be seeing you guys live, because EOP will be there live on May 13th, calling the game live on our YouTube page live. So check it out. Don't forget to go to sherrystickets.com. Use that promo code EOP10. Save 10% off. And don't get bamboozled at checkout. You will pay the price you see on the screen. You will not get side swiped by some sort of $150 fee at sherrystickets.com. Go to cherryinjurylaw.com for all your workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, and criminal law needs, or call Dave Cherry directly at 610-565-0300 for that personal touch. And go to phillysportstrips.com if you want to get out of Dodge. I need to stretch my legs. I need to not see Philly for a minute, but I want to see my teams play. phillysportstrips.com. That's the place to go. Here is your lineup. A couple changes. I think Phightins and Fanatics will not be on tomorrow, but we will have a Phightins final for you tomorrow. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of coverage for the Sixers post-game wise. PM and AM, we'll be back with Mike Lauro and Pat Bernard. They have some guests coming up. I'll take a second. I will pull it up. I know he texted to us earlier. I just don't have the graphic for it. Kevin Durisau from 97.3 ESPN South Jersey will be on the phone lines talking Flyers hockey. Hopefully the future of Flyers hockey, because right now ain't nothing to talk about. And then All Across All the Time will be live again 9 p.m. on Sunday. And, of course, your Phightins final. So there's plenty going. If you go, hey, some of those things look interesting, but I missed it, no worries. All those live shows are podcasted. So go check it out wherever you get your podcast. We are now on YouTube podcast, by the way, Matty B. If people didn't know, we're doing a soft rollout, seeing how that works. So far, so good. Getting a lot of response from our YouTube podcasters. So all these shows are being podcasted on YouTube as well. So I have a lot to cover. I'm not going to keep going because now I'm just rambling. So, guys, Matty B, thank you for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
It's always good to do this with you. And I always wanted to do this. I said, did you watch the show last night?
Did I watch the show last night? Yes.
Did you watch me to the end?
No.
All right. At the end, I said I wanted to do my best Matty B impression, but I was not going to do it until we got a W. So Here we go. Hardy K, what do you got for us?